Hello, come on in. Find yourself a seat. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Chris calling out of Waco. Thomas, you are in Austin. Lisa, you are in Denver. It is great to see you guys. We're gonna let everybody get situated before we get going. Hello, hello. I am in San Antonio. Yes, the weather has been really nice. They see you're in Knoxville. Okay, you're traveling, I guess. Not home this week. Nice to have you. I'm very excited that you could spend a little time with us on this Monday afternoon. Hello, hello. All righty, all righty. I think we'll go ahead and get started. It's the top of the hour. When I started thinking about putting this series together, Master Steps, I found myself as a new travel agent in the beginning where I had all of this great information, all of this great content, and trainings available left and right. But when it came to being a business owner, I was lost. I hit a wall. I didn't know where to even start first, right? And so as I started participating in different groups that I'd find, on Instagram through communities or on Facebook groups, I started realizing that I wasn't the only one with these kind of common questions that an entrepreneur or new business owner would have. So I thought that I would put together the most common misconceptions, ideas, suggestions, tips, etc., to help you to start laying a foundation that's going to really provide success for you in building your business and your brand and really getting off to a good start in the travel industry. As you know, you can pretty much go anywhere on social media, throw a rock, and you feel like you're just hitting travel agents all over the place. If it's not an independent travel agent through a contracting agency, then it's the big agencies, themselves. And you feel like maybe this business is too saturated. But I'm here to tell you that is simply not the case. The problem is not knowing how to position yourself. And, we talked last week about quieting the noise and how to really craft your perception in the travel industry. And we talked a lot about, branding and how to stand out and above your competitors. And so today, what we're going to talk about is the essential marketing mistakes that travel agents make in the beginning, because there are some that, you make a little hiccup, it's not really a big deal. But if you fall into a habit of making, these mistakes that I've noticed and I've heard other people speaking of, you really want to learn how to dodge that from the get-go. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that. And then again, as soon as I have more details about my masterclass that I'm going to put together, where we'll actually dive in a little bit further to some of these classes that I'm going over and the content I'm talking about. And we'll also have some tutorials, like an over-the-shoulder view of content creation, how, where, why, what. And so that will just be updated as soon as I have the information for you. I'm trying to incorporate a couple more elements into the class. So, be sure and stay tuned for that. But if you have missed the first 3 episodes, not to worry, because if you are watching the replay on YouTube now, you will notice that the first 3 episodes are already uploaded and you can watch those at your convenience. And those are also free. It's just information that I thought that I would pass along. And this was the best way to kind of get the information out to more people. So I hope that you are able to, if you're new, if you've been here, from the beginning, I hope that there's something that you're able to take out of today and this series that's really going to help you to set your foundation for success, because there is so much travel, there is so much competition. But if you learn how to really set your foundation and it's strong, then you're definitely going to be able to build your brand and your company and bring in the clientele that you are looking for. And there's plenty to go around. This is a big, big world. So again, today we're going to kind of talk about some of the mistakes that travel agents really need to avoid. And we're also going to talk about how, that drive to success in the travel industry, it's really imperative that you have an effective marketing strategy. One of the things in the masterclass that I would like to probably start with is showing different tools that you can utilize and take advantage of. Some are free, that are exceptional, that you can use to really plan out what your content strategy is. And we'll talk and dive more into that, more details. But being able to have an effective strategy from the beginning is really, really important because, again, I can't stress it enough that consistency is key. If you cannot be consistent, then go ahead, turn the computer off, go plop on the couch, kick up your feet, because this isn't for you. If you are serious about taking your travel business to the next level, then consistency has got to be at the forefront of your mind at all times. But it doesn't matter if you have ADD. It doesn't matter if you've got a really, really hectic schedule, home life, or whatnot. There are so many different tools that I'm going to show you and that we'll go over that will really help you to keep it all together and to be able to have that consistency. And there's nothing better than to plan out your week, your month, your quarter, than to be able to have something to get it all set up to where it's going out like clockwork. You know how to take advantage of that. You know how to work your way through the program. And I can't stress it enough. And also this week we had the unveiling of the Grinders Planner, which is something that my partner Kwame Chambers and I created. He is in Houston, but people who are entrepreneurs, that type A personality, those grinders, if you will, we don't just work, banker's hours. That's just not what we do. Even if we could, we just don't. And so being able to plan outside of 5 o'clock and, late at night, early in the morning, what have you, is really important because you can't just have this really, scheduled day and just chaos during times that aren't regular working hours. So luckily, as a paramedic, I got very accustomed to working around the clock, working 24 hours, working 12, 18, however the day went, I was able to adjust to that. And so I want to be able to give that little tidbit to you in a planner. So it's got great places for brain dumps and planning out ahead of time and looking out ahead of time. And it's just not your mama's planner. That is for sure. It's for grinders only. If you're not really serious, and we don't even need to show it to you. But maybe I will have Kwame on one of these classes and we can really do an unveiling or an unboxing or something really, fun. But let's go ahead and get started with today's content, and let's talk about mistake number 1, and that's neglecting your online presence. Again, consistency really is where your social platforms are going to either excel or they're just going to fall by the wayside. Because in this digital age, more and more clients, young, old, and everyone in between, are all turning to the internet to do their research on destinations, on prices, and they're even booking their travel straight online. So you want to make sure that you're not neglecting your online presence. The accessibility and credibility that you can build and showcase is so important because, like I said, that's where clients are. You can say, oh, I don't use social media, and that's fine for you perhaps, but I'm guaranteeing you, your clients and your potential clients and the people who you would like to work with are using social media. They're online. So whether you are shying away from social media and just perhaps doing Google, that is huge because it's not just Google as far as ad placement goes, it's also maps, and they've got it to where, people can be looking, at your mapped location, and you can set it up to where they can actually message you right away. So making sure that you understand the platform that you're on and the platform that you're using is also important to know all the different elements and all the different little pieces that make that platform unique. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of those because they can really drive your business and put you out in front of potential clients. They want to see, when they're poking around, they want to see that you have a professional website. That's not saying that you've got to, just spill out and dump a lot of money into having some huge creator or marketing company make a website for you. That's not the case. There are so many. I mean, I learned how to make my first website through GoDaddy. It was simple, it was easy to follow. And for someone like myself who did not have, all of these computer classes or any to speak of, period, it was really easy for me to follow. And so if you want to find someone to freelance out different assignments like that, that is totally acceptable. If you want to do it yourself, it's totally accessible, but you don't have to, get in this mindset that you have to spend more money and that money means better, because that's not the case. There's so many different free tools that you can utilize. So I will try to make sure to drop information on particular ones as, as often as possible to kind of let you know what it is that you can use. But, if you're neglecting your presence on your social media and people aren't seeing you, then they're just simply not going to engage with you. And so having content that is engaging and is directed towards the client that is your ideal client and you have the right audience, then that makes all the difference. So making sure that you're not neglecting, all the places that you've put yourself online is big, which means from the beginning, you have to have that plan and you have to know where all you are present. Because if you just open up this platform and people see that there's like one entry or a halfway done thing, or this website's not accessible, you need to either take it down or you need to make sure that you put that in your schedule, in your formula, and make sure that you are paying attention to that, because all it takes is somebody seeing something that looks trashy and incomplete and inconsistent once. Then they just kind of put your name to that. And that's not the kind of online presence that we want people to think of when they think of our brand, right? So you can make yourself more accessible by being in these different groups and participating. Don't just drop in when you're trying to promote something that you're trying to sell. People don't want to be sold, especially when they're on social media. They're trying to relax perhaps, but there are plenty of online sites that are allowing you to promote your business for free. And they don't have all these rules and parameters. So you can look into that and find something that's more targeted perhaps to your niche. As a matter of fact, if you go to my Facebook group, Traveling Trends, that's TRYNDS, and you go to my group and join, I've got a very brand new free PDF. It's about 15 pages long. It's a free download, and it goes into narrowing your niche. It gives lots of great tips. It gives lots of great ideas, explains the whys, and then you can really decide either better which niche you would like to specialize in, or perhaps whether you are wanting to niche down at all. I told a story, I think probably the first week, about how in the beginning I thought, I just want to know everything about all sorts of travel all the time. It's just not possible. That's just not realistic. I don't know what I was thinking, but travel is got so much great material, so many great destinations, and so many promos and suppliers and vendors that you really, really need to narrow the niche down. And, the more detailed you can get, you might think that you are leaving a lot of people out, but let's face it, if you niche in, adventure travels, and you specifically are targeting people who are interested in UFOs, and zip lining, that's pretty specific. But if you are talking about that with a whole bunch of other adventure travelists, they're not going to resonate towards you because that's not what they're into. But if you've got this niche, own it, take it, specialize in it, be the go-to person. And I guarantee you're going to find more clients and potential clients that you even dreamed were possible. I mean, think about how big this world is. Think about all the different places that you can travel, and think of all of the people who are looking to do so, whether it be professionally, whether it be personally. People are traveling all the time. So find your niche, grab it by the horns and own it. And make sure that you're being accessible online. If clients are able to inquire about a particular destination or ask you specific questions, whether it be in a group or a contact page perhaps that you have on your website, then that's really going to be convenient for them. And people are inherently lazy sometimes, most of the time. Maybe I'm just talking about myself, but if it's convenient, if there's a link that people can just click on it, they're bound to do that than going and looking something up. I do understand Google is your best friend, and I do understand how easy it is. But something that I learned, and I'm not knocking on any generations, don't take it this way, but for instance, I'm sure there's a generational gap where the Dewey Decimal System doesn't even ring a bell to a particular group, right? Well, if you don't know how to research, you've never had to research, then you just can't take for granted that people understand that. And so making things as easily accessible to everyone is probably just the best way to move forward from here. Because if you're just expecting people to look up your this and find your that, like I just said, oh, go to my Facebook group, Traveling Trends. But again, I'm dealing with a particular group of people right now, and I am confident that you can all find my Facebook Traveling Trends group. I digress. But the easier you make something, the more convenient you make something, the more likely that you're going to have people, gravitating towards wherever it is that you're trying to send them. Making sure that you're not neglecting yourself and your social media branding is essential in building credibility and trust. Because if people are seeing you as this go-to person, the person who's always jumping in, offering help, giving suggestions, answering questions that they may have, then that's really going to resonate with them. And it's just going to really elevate what it is that you have to offer. You're not just booking a flight for somebody, you actually have knowledge in the destination that they're going to. And when they're looking for, an agency or an agent online, they're expecting to see that your social media has this engaging content. So when you are mapping out your content and you're creating these different storylines, make sure they all mesh and they go together. And I will show you some different tools that I use and how to use them that are really making it so much easier for me to keep all of my ideas and thoughts together. And instead of just, throwing out things that don't relate to each other, even though they're travel related, but the themes don't match up or the time of year isn't right. It really helps me to stay on top of that. And it really helps again with my consistency, because if there's a butterfly, I'm going to see it and I'm going to be really, really gone and not engaged. But if you've got this content that's following this particular flow or this storyline, then it's going to be easier for clients, because they're not going to just sit on your platform all day and just see what you do from post to post, but they are going to see a consistency and see something that's meshing together, if they pop in here and they see that you're always on the same page. So again, that's another reason why it's important to niche down, because you're not going to be wanting to, the more that you're trying to offer as far as different niches, and the more specifics that you're trying to offer, the more muddied that that's going to become. And I didn't understand that in the beginning. And I'm probably not really making that clear now. But if you're making spaghetti, you want your sauce and your noodles. It's pretty plain, pretty easy, we don't need to get into adding mushrooms and whatnot, onions, blah. You got your sauce, you got your noodles. But when you're making goulash, you've got something from last Tuesday, you've got something you're thinking about for tomorrow, you've got all these different things that don't match, but somehow you've put them in this pot. And just because they taste good doesn't mean anybody knows what they're eating, right? So you want to be able to provide content that is relative to other content that you are doing. And also any kind of reviews, positive reviews that you can post and have on your website and have in your social media presence on your Google page. That is huge because a lot of people do their shopping by other people's experiences. If they see that you've got all of these people that are just saying how wonderful it was and how easy it was to work with you and how reliable you are and knowledgeable about this particular destination or type of travel, that's really going to speak volumes when people are looking over your stuff. And a positive review does not have to be from somebody in the travel industry that you've worked with. It could be anybody that you've worked with in your entire life because they're speaking about your character. They're saying whether you're reliable. They're saying that you're trustworthy and that you have this professional elegance about your branding and the way that you approach your clientele. These things are important. And so it doesn't have to necessarily be from somebody it doesn't have to be travel related. It could be from anywhere because your character is your character. It's who you are. And so you want to make sure that that strong professional online presence is not just left on the wayside. So again, it's really important that you're maintaining and being active and consistent on your profile because it's going to really install confidence in your clients and it's going to encourage them that when they go online and do their research that they're going to turn to you. Being accessible, easy to reach, having answers and them seeing that is also going to be the people. I've noticed myself that when it comes to travel, the more information that you're able to provide them with, then the easier the booking goes in general. Because a lot of times people have this perception of this place or destination or region that they want to go to, but maybe they haven't been there before. So they really don't know what it specializes in, what it's known for, and they don't know some of the things that maybe only the locals would know. So if you're able to provide that to them, that's really going to be meaningful when it comes down to securing that booking with them and being able to share testimonials from other clients. That works a lot and really helps to enforce your credibility. So you definitely want to make sure that your presence online isn't outdated. You don't want to be promoting something from 6 months ago on your website because what does that say? Jessica, that you're lazy, right? And so lazy may be okay for our clients when it comes to booking and what energies they want to put forth. But as far as the person who is the one booking it and in charge of the details, not so good, right? Uh-huh. Yeah, so you don't want to not be engaging. If you've got someone that's asking a question or giving a comment, you're wanting to make sure that you are responding back to that. Don't just leave them hanging. People like a little thumbs up to know that you've seen what it was that they had to say. And so you really want to make sure that that visibility that you are giving on your social media and your online presence in general is a positive one. And you can do things like optimize your website. You can learn search engine optimization, which is SEO for short, and then also learning some tips and strategies as far as your content creation and helping to know what's going to really engage your audience. And if you've done that, research in the beginning and you know exactly who your ideal client is and who you want your audience to be, it's really going to make all of these other steps that seem daunting really fall into place. So brings me to mistake number 2, And that's ignoring your target audience. I'm not real certain how this happens, but it does, because it seems that if you have a target that you're aiming at, then that's the direction that you're heading. But somehow people can totally ignore their target audience simply because they haven't defined who that is. In the beginning, we spoke about being able to write out the principles of that avatar, of that ideal person that you want to come and to utilize your services. And so knowing all the different details about them is going to allow you not just to know them better and what it is that they're looking for, but it's going to allow you to be able to find where they're hanging out. You know, you don't want to be exhausting all of your efforts into a particular area or category that's not even your audience, or it's not going to have any of your audience there. I mean, you can have, you know, like I said, the shiniest, newest, most innovative services to offer, but if you're giving this information out to the wrong audience, it's just going to fall on deaf ears. And we really want to work smarter and not harder. If you are casting too wide a net, like I mentioned earlier about really trying to niche down, and again, you don't have to be so specific, but the more that you can niche down, you're going to see that it's not, you know, taking a lot of people off the table for you. It's actually just defining them to where you can find them. It's like mining for gold, right? You just have to shift through everything, niche down a little bit, and before you know it, you've got all these little gold nuggets, right? I'm so glad that that was entertaining for you. I just thought about it. Thank you. I'm here all week, especially on Mondays at 3 o'clock Central. So, on Amy-Ren-IA on YouTube for those who can't be here with us live. Yes, we do try to have a good time. Yes, Mark, it's quite all right that you're late. You can always, if you feel like you missed something, you can just rewind over on YouTube. Okay, so again, targeting that audience, making sure that you have them defined and niched down and not just all out there and casting too wide of a net, is, you know, just some of the different ways that you can ignore your audience. And you don't want to have someone finally find you and see something that you perhaps promoted, or something that you posted, and they thought, oh my gosh, I finally found someone who is into UFOs and likes to zip line to the different landing sites. I don't know. And then you never visit that again. If that's your niche, that needs to be your theme. That needs to always be in the forefront of any content that you're doing. It's not to say that every single piece that you are putting out there needs to have a UFO in the background or flying around, or, you know, what have you. But you definitely don't want to just leave them hanging. If that's who your people are, embrace your people and own that niche. So making sure that you've done that research, and then creating these marketing campaigns that are specific to, and making sure that it's being marketed to the places where you'll find your ideal client, are imperative to not ignoring your audience. So mistake number 3 is ineffective use of social media. Now, in the beginning, someone had asked if I recommend one platform over another. And my suggestion simply is for you to use whichever platforms that you are comfortable with. If you are not comfortable in any of them, and you just are, you know, on Google and Yelp perhaps, then make sure that you are consistent there and you're the go-to person there. I don't feel like for myself that that is enough of an audience for me. Seems like just different reasons why social media is much more effective. And it's because you're able to define a target and then actually, you know, gauge your where your people are, so that you can make sure that you're getting the information and sharing your insights and promos with them. So you want to stay consistent, because if you're inconsistent, then that's just not using social media the way social media is supposed to be used. And, Pinterest is an underrated but very quickly growing place and platform to be able to find clients, because on Pinterest, if you go up into the search bar and you start to search anything, let's say you're going to talk about Dubai or Austin, Texas, it doesn't matter. If you are typing something, you are immediately going to see the top 10 things related to whatever you've put in the search bar. And that's exactly in the list of what people are already looking for. So it's kind of like cheating, right? And so if you're able to know exactly what people are going on Pinterest to look for, you just fill that hole, right? I mean, that just seems like it's too easy. It's like, what am I missing? But making sure that you're consistent is important, because you don't want to use all the social platforms if it's just too much for you to keep up with. You want to, use whichever ones that you're able to, Facebook and Instagram, for instance, they are partnered a lot. And I know that there's the law they're trying to pass with TikTok. And I'm hearing different. Right. Mark was just saying that he's been hearing about an alternative that TikTok has already, okay, they've already created it. Okay, and so apparently the word is on the street that you're going to be able to move all of your TikTok, everything, into this new platform. It's based in the United States, so there's not any of the concern about the security, as far as outside of our country. And so there's social media is not going anywhere. They might dress it up and put a bow on it and call it something different, but it's really imperative that you decide where you want to be present, and then be present. And then that kind of brings me to what I mentioned earlier. You don't want to over promote. If you've got a page and it's just the same thing over and over again, and you're not utilizing the engagement factor, you're not answering questions, you're just droning on about buy this, buy this, buy this, people are very quickly going to tune out and just go elsewhere. It's important that you're putting different types of, excuse me, I'm so sorry, I'm parched. It's important that you are putting out, motivational things or inspirational things or silly things or jokes, or there's so many different types of content. It doesn't always have to be buy this, buy this, buy this. I myself, I don't like salespeople. I don't like to consider myself a salesperson. I like to think of myself as a travel entrepreneur concierge especially. I don't know, whatever. But it's just you don't want to just keep on. I mean, think about it. If it were you, if you were on somebody's site and they had all these, they had something funny and wacky Wednesdays, silly Saturdays, sensational Saturday, whatever it may be, and you've got this theme and you're consistent, and all of a sudden you just drop off. There's nothing inspirational, there's nothing personal, you're not sharing information, you're just buy. That's going to turn you off. You are definitely not going to be staying there and trying to engage with that, because it feels like it's just a wall that you're talking to, or that's talking at you. And so to engage doesn't just necessarily mean to respond, it means to actually make a connection. And again, if you have that authenticity and you're really genuine and your clients can feel that, it just builds to that credibility, and people aren't going to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars with someone that they don't feel a connection with. So again, people aren't buying a product, people are buying you. So put your best foot forward, right? So if you are interacting with your clients, you're creating content that makes someone just want to engage. And then you are using that targeted marketing, whether it be through paid ads or it be unique users, what have you. if you're able to take those tips and then leverage that into and across your presence online, it's really going to help to elevate your game and to keep it elevated. So that brings me to mistake. I'm sorry, Lisa. Yeah. Okay. So what I meant by, planning things out, with one of the different, you can make your own little schedule for a week, for a month, for a quarter. I like the official power quarter planner for grinders only, because it allows me to do a quarter at a time and I can put all my thoughts and ideas and brain dumps in one place. But I digress. Available on Amazon. But if you have a plan, and let's say motivational Monday, wacky Wednesday, Tuesday tips, however you want to do that, and that kind of be your theme. And let's say you want to put your Tuesday tips at 11:30 every Tuesday, because that's when people generally, excuse me, are breaking for lunch, you've noticed, that are in your particular audience, then that's something you want to be consistent doing, and setting that schedule up and having that consistency is, focused towards your targeted audience. That's what I was meaning. Yes, you've got it. All righty. So mistake number 4 is overlooking customer experience. You are wanting to deliver exceptional customer service. We know this, but you also want to make sure that you are putting that best foot forward each and every time. Because if you are overlooking their experience and it wasn't all that they were expecting or all that you promised, then that is definitely something that is going to draw people from you and not have them gravitating towards you. If you are not communicating, that is mistake number 1 as far as travel goes. I know that I was told in the beginning that some information, some news is better than no news at all. And it's not that, that age-old antic where no news is good news, because in travel, that is simply just not the case. That doesn't always mean that. So if something's going on, something's delayed, ticketing is, going hanky, which it tends to do, then you want to communicate that to your client, because the only way that they're going to feel comfortable in just dumping all of these details in your lap for you to tend to is if you're communicating the necessary information back to them. Good news or bad news, it's better than no news at all. So you want to make sure that you have very, very good communication with your clients. Lack of personalization is something that I really promote, that everything that I create for a client is unique and is personalized specifically to them. Just because I may send a lot of people to the Bahamas does not mean that everybody's getting the same cookie cutter proposal and itinerary from me. Everything's going to be personalized and really narrowed down to the experience that that particular client or group are looking for. And so if you are not having that personalization for your clients, they're going to sense that. They're going to feel like they're just one of 100. And if you can make a client feel like they are your only client, they are going to feel special. And we all like to feel special. I love to feel like I'm the only person in the store. Because for one, I don't really like to be sold on anything. I'll let you know. But if I have questions, I love to know that I'm the most important person in the store that you have, right? And so if you can make someone feel like they are the only customer in your life, you don't want to always have these excuses about not communicating effectively because you just had so many clients. That doesn't impress anybody. That turns them off. So making sure that you have that personalization and that time and that open communication is key. And it's also very important that you're following up with your clients, not just with communicating prior to travel, but checking in with them afterwards. whether that be that you send them a questionnaire or ask them for a review. You want to know what it was that worked for them. Oh, excuse me. Allergies in Texas. I'm probably going to start sneezing. I apologize. Oh, something blew in just now. Ooh, anyway, maybe it got cooler outside. I don't know. But failure to, follow up and see how their trip went and what went well, or maybe perhaps what you could have worked on or done better. These are important pieces of information to have, because if you don't know because you didn't ask, how are you going to fix that problem? Right. Right. You absolutely if you don't know, now you know. Not the case. So again, a couple of strategies for making sure that you're enhancing that customer experience is making sure that you've got prompt communication. If they are messaging you, let me say this from the beginning. You have to set expectations. You cannot, okay. I suggest that you do not, you can have someone feel like they are your only client without being available to them 24/7. Now, let's say it's a special VIP uh, contract that you have with this particular business or whatever, and you have stated that you're available for them 24/7. Then you need to make sure that you are available promptly for them 24/7. But if you have particular business hours or particular days that you do and don't work, you need to voice this in the very beginning before any contracts are signed, before any monies are exchanged, because that lets them know what they can expect from you. And if you're telling them that you are not available on Thursdays, that means when they text you at 9 o'clock Thursday evening, you're not responding to them. You're going to get with them first thing Friday morning, but not on Thursday. If you fall into the habit of not following your own guidelines, then you are really going to it's not going to be fun anymore. Take it from me. I've learned that the hard way. I thought doing something 24/7 meant I would be better. And it really leads to burnout. It leads to resentment. And it really leads to a lot of unhappiness that could have been, evaded if you had just simply set your guidelines in the beginning and they agreed, and then everyone's happy. And you don't want to just, throw out demands. You definitely want to have an open communication with them and see what works for you, what works for them, but then stick with that. Okay. Another mistake is number 5, and that is neglecting your research, your analytics, and your measuring of your company, whether it be measuring from the beginning, how you were doing to how you're doing each quarter, or twice a year or yearly, or you're looking back on the past 3 years, whatever it may be. If you are getting all this information, just like we talked about in the beginning, when you're doing that research about niching down, if you're gathering all of this amazing, analytical information and details and not doing anything with it, then quit wasting your time. You probably will not grow. You probably will not move forward. So I don't suggest those things. I really, really suggest that for you to be able to dodge some of these marketing mistakes that we as agents make in the beginning sometimes, then you have got to pay attention to what your analytics are saying. If you've got different video content and video A is bombing in comparison to the content created in video B, no matter what that is, that's working. Do more of that. And in fact, when you get some of the analytics back from your reels on Facebook or Instagram, I don't remember specifically which one, but it'll say, hey, people really liked said content. Let's make more. And it's even prompting you to do it. So pay attention to that and those little tips and prompts, because they are effective and they really help you in making sure that you are making any adjustments that are necessary in your marketing efforts. So You want to make sure that you are setting goals that are measurable. And a lot of people, uh, you might be familiar with the SMART method, right? And that's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time bound. And what those different letters stand for is like specific. When you're setting yourself a goal, whether it be for budgetary reasons or creation or timelines or what have you in your business, you want to make sure that you're specific and clear. You don't want there to be any room for you to misinterpret it, because if you are getting off the beaten path, you probably are not going to be very effective at meeting your particular goal. You also want to make sure that it's measurable and that you can track what your efforts are doing. Are they moving you forward? Are they putting you out in the direction you want? Are they giving you the information that you want, and that you're looking for? And if not, how are you going to pivot and make corrections to that? And then also, you want it to be actionable. You want it to be steps that are within your control. You don't want to set out a plan or a goal that has steps that aren't up to you. You want to make sure that you're the person driving this bus. You're the person setting out what these little action steps are going to be, enable for you to achieve your goal. And then also realistic. Don't set out that in your first month out the door, you're going to land that $1 million contract. That's going to be an annual thing, biannual. It's not really very realistic. I mean, unless that is just happens to be something you fell into before you even opened day one of your business, that's just not realistic. So make sure that this measurable goal is obtainable, and then time bound is meaning that you have set a deadline, because we are more apt to meeting a particular goal and taking a particular action and following this plan if there's a due date. If we are focused on when this needs to be done by, and that timeline also needs to be realistic. Well, if we're realistic and it's measurable and obtainable and we're clear and concise, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't be successful. And I know that you will. So again, these are just some of the top 5 mistakes that I myself have made. I've seen other agents, new and old, make. And so in correcting these behaviors and not getting on the wrong track at the beginning will really, really help you, again, to set that foundation for success, which is what we're all here for. I've never met a small business owner that was just in it for fun. We're in it to provide a service, and most people want to take pride in that. And that means doing things well, doing things right, and being consistent in doing so. So next week on May 6th, Monday, 3 o'clock Central, we are going to be talking about the Conversion Chronicles. And that's some of the experts' tips and best practices on being able to do and meet some of these different mistakes and how to correct them and to not fall into them. And so I love doing best practices, because I remember when I was a brand new paramedic, and sometimes treatment protocol could be this or it could be that. I'm brand new. I don't know this or that. What do you mean? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to tell me to go left or go right. I will follow whichever direction you're providing to me. So best practices are one of my favorite topics, because you're getting it from the expert. If there's something that can evolve or something that can be created that's new and interesting and it works, that is fantastic. But there are certain elements that there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. And so if you can get some tips from experts, that is always something that makes me happy, because I know that I'm getting it. If you're going to copy a cat, make sure it's the right cat, right? So again, I really appreciate everyone's time. Be sure and leave questions, suggestions, or comments in the comments section, or you can contact me directly whenever you would like to leave me a message. I will be sure and get back to you promptly. But again, thank you so much for joining us today in Master Steps. And again, my name is Amy. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. And I will see you next Monday, 3 o'clock Central. And as always, safe travels, and I'll catch you on the flip flop. Bye.